because everybody else was scared of that.
Right.
Everybody, that's when Suge Knight was the monster, the boogeyman.
Right.
That's when he was the boogeyman.
It's only happening in Long Beach right now as far as me doing something for the community, because that's where my heart lies at as far as straightening out my own neighborhood before I go elsewhere.
It's hard to actually figure out what's what, but it's becoming clearer. It's becoming clearer and clearer.
While the world was glued to Diddy's courtroom chaos in Brooklyn, the feds were quietly targeting another hip-hop legend behind closed doors. The FBI's Organized Crime Division reportedly reopened 2 long-running investigations, one tracing back almost 30 years. The first ties to the 1996 Vegas tragedy that took Shakur, and the second to Diddy's wild freak-off network that ended with a conviction under the Mann Act in 2025. Both trails now point toward one shocking name, Calvin Broadus, better known as Snoop Dogg. Snoop's always been seen as rap's chill survivor, the one who outlived the era. But now, whispers out of DC say it's not about image anymore, it's about what he knew. Insiders even hint pre-arrest briefings are already in motion.
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public.
Diddy's conviction has opened the floodgates. Witnesses who once stayed silent are now cutting deals and talking fast. Sources say some of the same faces tied to Diddy's wild early 2000s circle are popping up in Snoop's old tour entourage too. That overlap caught the Fed's eye. Agents are now tracing calls and flight logs showing both camps crossing paths. The theory? Snoop might have known, or even gained, from inside info passed around long before the public ever heard a thing. To see why that's huge, we gotta rewind to late 1996. Just months after Shakur, Snoop didn't just leave row. He wiped his whole slate clean. No more Crip ties, no more Suge Knight, no more row talk. Then came his No Limit deal, and what looked less like reinvention, more like a cover-up. Suge Knight, now speaking from behind bars on his prison podcast Collect Call, just threw gasoline on the fire. Earlier in 2025, he said he needed a real conversation with Snoop about what really went down in Las Vegas, and that wasn't for shock value. Every prison call is recorded, so dropping that bomb publicly stunned even his own people. Insiders say Suge wasn't ranting, he was bargaining. Sources close to his team claim he's been trading info with the feds, possibly offering details that could reframe Snoop's fast exit from death row as more than just survival. At the same time, Napoleon from the Outlaws has been opening old wounds in interviews, saying Snoop's distance from Shakur wasn't creative, it was jealousy, and the stats back him up. In 1996, All Eyes on Me sold over 9 million copies, while The Dogfather barely hit half that. In Death Row's brutal money game, that meant Shakur was the moneymaker, and Snoop's power was slipping fast. Napoleon says the envy turned financial, and by the time Shakur passed, Snoop wasn't grieving, he was relocating. Even Snoop's own stories sound conflicted, like that tense flight from New York to LA, where he, Suge, and Shakur sat in total silence after the East versus West feud exploded. Snoop once admitted he carried a blade up his sleeve for protection. Most took it as paranoia, but to investigators, it screamed foreknowledge. If he feared danger from his own crew, it meant he already knew things were about to explode. In later interviews, Snoop said he fainted seeing Shakur in the hospital, tubes everywhere, barely holding on. Afeni Shakur told him, "Get up, fix your face, and say goodbye like a man." It was emotional, but it raised questions. If their bond was that strong, why did Suge accuse him of betrayal years later? And why did Snoop never fire back? That silence still haunts fans and feds alike. Then, in 2025, things took another twist. Jaguar Wright, the bold singer who's made a career exposing the industry's dark side, went on Pi Morgan's show and dropped a bombshell. She claimed Snoop knew about both tragedies before the world did, saying he was part of a powerful network of enablers around Diddy. "Anyone who thinks he won't talk is crazy," she said. And social media exploded. Wright's claims lined up with what's happening behind the scenes. After Diddy's sentencing, prosecutors quietly reopened files, digging into his private gatherings and old West Coast operations. Sources say several of Diddy's early 2000s guest lists match death row contact books seized years ago. It's circumstantial, but enough for the feds to dive right back in. Suge's prison podcast just keeps blowing up, and it's not because of celebrity gossip, it's because of what he's hinting at. In one chilling episode, he talked about a West Coast legend who left the label like a man who already had his bags packed before the body hit the ground. The message? Crystal clear. He was talking about Snoop. The timing of Snoop's No Limit deal now looks more like strategy than coincidence. Master P even said Snoop came to him while death row was collapsing, desperate for a way out. Moves like that don't happen overnight, they're planned. By 1997, Snoop's full transformation was complete. The gangster rapper became the peacemaker, preaching spirituality instead of vengeance. On CNBC and VH1, he called The Dogfather his rebirth, a new beginning, free from death row's chaos. It sounded deep, but critics said it was just damage control, especially since the FBI's Shakur case was falling apart and witnesses were vanishing fast. Over time, Snoop morphed into rap's friendly uncle, the lovable legend. But cracks still showed. When Suge landed back in prison in the mid-2010s, Snoop suddenly called him one of the best businessmen on the West Coast. Some saw it as forgiveness, others called it survival, because the same man he once dissed, he was now praising. But Suge's version of their last meeting? Way colder. He claimed Snoop told him straight up, "I could have saved you." Fans thought Suge's "I could have saved you" line was spiritual, but his tone said otherwise. It hinted Snoop might have known way more about that Vegas night than he ever let on. When Suge repeated that phrase on his podcast years later, the FBI reportedly flagged it. In the middle of a reopened homicide case, "I could have saved you" doesn't sound emotional. It sounds like information withheld. Napoleon kept the fire burning too. In multiple 2024 and 2025 interviews, he blasted Snoop for rewriting history, making himself look like the calm hero while painting Shakur as reckless. He said Snoop's claim about not liking Hit 'Em Up wasn't peace, it was image maintenance. He's trying to take that shine from Shakur, Napoleon told Art of Dialogue. Inside death row, that made sense. Image meant survival, and the one who looked calm walked away clean. But now, with Diddy locked up in what reporters call hell on earth, the FBI's spotlight is back on every old connection. The bureau's even subpoenaed digital files tied to Bad Boy collaborators from 1994 to 2004. That time frame includes Snoop's public link-ups with Diddy. The same award shows once praised as unity now look more like connections inside a criminal web. And at the heart of it all sits the detail that reignited everything. A mysterious pager message that allegedly circulated among insiders minutes before the world heard about Shakur's shooting. Several witnesses claim that message existed, but no one's produced it. Rumor has it, Snoop got that alert while still mid-flight to LA. If the FBI confirms that timeline, it could rewrite hip-hop history. Not just what happened that night in Vegas, but how the feud truly ended. Now, every new Suge interview seems perfectly timed. Every legal motion in Diddy's case connects another hidden thread. What people once called gossip is starting to look like a blueprint of silence, power, and survival. And here's the question no one wants to say out loud. Did Snoop escape death row's fall because he was lucky? Or because he already knew when the fire would start? The line between coincidence and coordination is vanishing fast, pulling Snoop right back toward a past he thought was buried. The industry can't dodge this reckoning anymore. The Department of Justice doesn't reopen cold cases for fun. They do it when they've got leverage. And now, in 2026, they finally have it. 3 cooperating witnesses, each with a motive, and each one pointing in Snoop's direction. Jaguar Wright, who's already named Snoop in a sworn statement, mentioned a third person, a name blacked out in the files. Insiders say it's someone who was right there in Vegas when the lights went out, someone close enough to both Suge and Snoop to know the real truth. To federal prosecutors, that's not gossip, that's evidence on the move. The first big clue points straight to that no-limit contract. On paper, Master P saved Snoop from death row's chaos, but in reality, he may have given him something even more powerful: legal distance. No Limit was based in New Orleans, far from California's tangled lawsuits. Master P's structure ran through companies in Houston and Baton Rouge, a setup that made subpoenas harder to serve and testimonies harder to force. For someone escaping the most dangerous label in hip-hop, that wasn't just business, it was protection. Some lawyers even called it the smartest exit in rap history. Look at the timeline. Late 96, Shakur's case still open. Early 97, Snoop quietly signs to No Limit. By 98, both homicide cases go cold. Coincidence? Or something much deeper? It's a clean line of silence running through 3 cities. And the FBI noticed. In a 2025 briefing, analysts reportedly pointed out how both Snoop and Diddy used sudden business expansion to build legal distance from the chaos that made them famous. Convenient, right? Now the Mann Act, the same law that crushed Diddy, is looming again. Everyone focused on the flashy charges, transportation, and illegal encounters. But buried in that statute is a hidden weapon: conspiracy to obstruct justice. It covers anyone who moves money, people, or info across state lines to hide a federal crime. So when the feds link that to Snoop's 1997 move from LA to Louisiana, things look different. That relocation could be seen as moving evidence, not just music. Filmmaker Alan Hughes once said, "Snoop dipped his light so Shakur could shine." Sounds poetic, but legally, it hits different. Maybe he didn't fade for humility, he faded for deniability. While the FBI mapped gang ties in Death Row, Snoop was busy rebranding, turning into the chill entrepreneur who made investigators lose his trail every single time. Federal memory runs deep. And now, with Diddy convicted and Suge Knight talking again, the feds are circling back hard. Old Death Row security guards are being called in, distributors are getting subpoenas, and even estate managers are facing questions about missing transactions after '96. Each document brings Snoop's name closer. Not as a defendant yet, but definitely as a person of interest. Jaguar Wright's testimony is finally being taken seriously. Once dismissed as wild talk, her claims started lining up after Diddy's conviction confirmed key details. She says in the early 2000s, Diddy, Snoop, and others met at so-called charity events, which were really about settling accounts. Even wilder, a redacted witness reportedly handed over phone transcripts tied to a pager message sent right before Shakur's shooting. Analysts traced that code to a device used by Snoop's Death Row team, and the leaked wording? Straight up chilling. Message confirmed, move complete. Whether real or not, that phrase reignited every theory. Who knew what, and when? Even Master P's camp is feeling the heat. Former No Limit execs are backing away fast, saying they were about music, not mayhem. But the optics say otherwise. The label that saved Snoop also shielded him from California investigators long enough to rebuild everything, while everyone else from Death Row either disappeared or fell. Now, the feds are digging into more than crimes of action. They're chasing crimes of silence. Who stayed quiet? Who benefited? Some retired agents even whisper that they're asking if Snoop didn't just know about Shakur's fate, but negotiated it. The clean exit, the instant no-limit deal, the lack of retaliation, too smooth for chaos. Each month, another piece drops. Suge hints again. Jaguar posts something cryptic. Prosecutors add more files. And Snoop, silent. No jokes, no denials. Just calm, careful appearances. Like a man walking through fire without leaving smoke. So what if that calm smile isn't confidence, but concealment? Could hip-hop handle that truth, or has it been living in it all along? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.